Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to try to work on this, our splits just a little bit. Again, I'm not trying to get ourselves to go so far dangerously wide if you're not comfortable with that. But let's start to get our splits just a little bit further. Allow your core to be engaged, and you can even squeeze your glutes and drive your hips forward just a little bit so you can be nice and stacked. You're nice and balanced. And we're going to be as vertical as possible. Now, two things that's really cool about this is now can we start to understand where our belly button is, and if obviously we start leaning too far forward, we're going to fall over, and then if we lean too far back, we're going to fall over. So when it comes to snowboarding, understanding where our balance point is extremely important. So if we can be here, nice and balanced, and let's let ourselves go a little bit wider as you're comfortable, a little bit wider. You should start to feel it in your hips and your for me, it's like my right hip specifically after surgery, but just in this, we're going to hang out here for a little bit longer. Take a deep breath in. And then as we're sitting here for the next 30 seconds, think about just squeezing your glutes just a little bit. It should create a little bit of tension in your hips. And then hold that for about 10 seconds and then release, allowing you to get a little bit more release in the hips. And if you can take another ½ inch wider, do so. So we're going to squeeze the glutes, build a little bit of tension, release, and feel a little bit more space in the hips. We're going to hang out here for about 30 more seconds. Remember to stay nice and balanced and stay nice and relaxed. As we're doing that, let's take a look over our left shoulder as if we're snowboarding. So you're going to imagine we're snowboarding and we're in this nice, strong, perfect balanced stance. And a lot of the stuff that I teach throughout the mobility, throughout teaching or coaching, is can we be in this strong stance where we're in this athletic stance, but all we're doing is looking. So I want you to try to rotate your head just a little bit further and see if you can see over your left shoulder without rotating your body. Ideally, if we're snowboarding minus our stance and how wide our feet are, this is actually an extremely ideal position, because it's like our athletic position if we're playing football. Now let's take another deep breath. We're going to rotate our head to center, and then let's go to our right side. Now obviously one of your directions is dominant. Notice within your body, is one side easier to rotate, or is there more tension built in one side of your neck versus the other? Ideally, the more we can rotate our neck and the more we can see without actually changing our angle of our shoulders and our spine, allows us to have that great field of view and perception of what we're doing on the mountain without actually rotating our body in a less awesome position. Excellent. Now let's return back to center, nice and smooth and nice and slowly. Let's bring our feet together. We're going to keep our knees slightly bent. And we're going to bring our chest down to the top of our quads. We're going to allow our head to sink. Again, you can place your hands on the ground or you can cross your arms, but let's feel a stretch in our glutes and our hamstring as we sink further and further down. We're going to hang out here for about the next 60 seconds, about a minute, and we're just going to breathe. Allow yourself to get that stretch going. Excellent. Now let's go ahead and get our tailbone down to the ground. Allow ourselves to sit down. So what I'd like to do, and I think you guys should be able to see me, I'll go sideways a little bit. We're going to keep our left leg extended and our right leg. Let me just move the camera so you guys can see this. Hey, there we go. Look at that, fancy. All right, so left leg is going to be extended. Right leg is going to go into a figure 4. We're going to bring our heel to the hip crease as much as possible. And let's go ahead and take our right hand and press our knee down. Now, within your guys' own flexibility and range of motion, this may be a little bit different for you guys. If you need to really hug the heel towards your belly button, definitely do so. If that's not super easy, then keeping it away towards the kneecap is totally fine. But I'm going to bring my heel in and I'm going to press my kneecap closer to the ground. Once again, feeling a little bit more stretch out of the hips. And we're going to hang out here for about a minute. And then if you feel that you need a little bit more stretch or just finding the stretch in a different way, a couple options is apply more pressure to your knee, and you can even sit forward or sit diagonal and try to find different areas that builds a little bit more tension in your hip. If you're feeling like, ooh, that's a really good trigger spot, then remain there and then breathe into that and try to sink over your hip. Cool. So I'm going to sit here for another 30 to 40 seconds. Fifteen more seconds. Remember to breathe, lean in, and feel that in the hip. Excellent. Now let's go ahead and switch legs. Right leg remains extended. Left leg comes up and in. And then again, I'm going to press down. We're going to hang out here for about a minute. Twenty more seconds. Excellent. Now we're going to get into a frog. Essentially, we're going to get to all fours. And I'm going to go lengthwise, probably a little bit easier on the knees and on the mat. But we're going to go on all fours. We're going to take our left and right kneecaps and just get them a little bit wider. And we're going to allow our hips to open up. And then you have the option of sinking back. So taking your tailbone. So it's more like, so it's going to be like here, knees are wide, sinking back and feeling your hips or driving forward. But just getting a little bit more range of motion in the hips and just sitting here for about a minute. Now you may be wondering, so why are we spending so much energy on the hips? When it comes down to snowboarding, we have to have a lot of range of motion and we have a lot of impact or a lot of pressure, a lot of weight that ends up applying to our body. And we tend to bend or flex at the waist, so I'm trying to get a lot more range of motion through the waist, and then we're going to work our way down to the knees and to the ankles so that we can absorb the terrain. But the more ability we have to absorb the terrain, the better chance we have of landing tricks or staying on our feet or preventing injury. So hips are going to be a big deal within snowboarding, and really trying to make sure that we have the range of motion, the flexibility within our hips, which is going to translate to a lot of things throughout snowboarding. Gonna hang out here for 30 more seconds. Excellent. From this position, we're going to take our right leg and we're going to extend it out. So we're going to be in this position where most of our weight is going to be on our left foot. So our left toes are on the ground, our left knee is on the ground, and our right leg is extended. So just looking like this. And then I can place my tops of my toes down on the ground if that's comfortable. You need that extra range of motion out of the ankle. My ankle's a little tight. And then we're going to start to allow our chest to drop closer and closer to our kneecap. Now, if we can keep our back as straight as possible, it helps. My back tends to round quite a bit, so I'm just trying to find a balance of not being so straight up vertically that I can't go forward, but obviously don't want to round too much. You should be feeling this in the hamstring, and as you get comfortable, you can start sinking down a little bit further and further, and you can take your left hand as support so that you can remain nice and balanced. We're going to sink into that hamstring just a bit. Remember to breathe and feel it in the hamstring. We're going to hang out here for 15 more seconds. Excellent. Let's progress our way back and switch legs. So now my right leg and knee are down. My left leg is going to extend out, and I'm going to sink down and sit in that position. Try to feel the hamstring, try to be as balanced, keep the back straight. While you're doing this, we try to be as symmetrical as possible as snowboarders. Obviously, we have those challenges where 99% of the time I ride a chairlift, I have one leg strapped in, which is going to create an imbalance in our snowboarding just by riding a chairlift. And then we have those imbalances by skating. So we're going to develop different balances, different range of motion, different strengths just by skating or sitting on a chairlift or riding in our dominant direction. So as we do these exercises both on our left side, right side, just start to think about or become more aware of which side has better balance or better flexibility. I know my left side is actually stronger but less balance. My right side is weaker but better balance. It doesn't make sense to me, but just being aware of that so you can train and try to train those certain aspects so that we can balance our body out, which helps reduce injury and increases our ability to be awesome at snowboarding. Excellent. Now let's go ahead and take our left leg, going to swing it back. Now this can be challenging for some people if you have any issues with your ankles or issues with your knees. But what I would like to do is get your knees together. We're just going to simply get our tailbone to sit back. Now if that's like really easy for you and you feel pretty awesome about it, take your hands, bring back, and start to extend back. Two things that's awesome about this specific position is you start opening your ankles, so you're working on your ankle range of motion, but you're also stretching out your calves as you lean back. Now, if you're like really, really freaking awesome, some people can actually lay all the way back. For me, I don't think I'm there yet, but go ahead and find a stretch. Now, if you feel like you're not getting a lot of stretch in your quads, you can squeeze your glutes and you're going to feel more stretch in your quads, or just continue to slowly progress your way back further and further and further. We're going to hang out here for about a minute. One thing I found over time, when I have a lot of back issues from riding or taking a lot of impacts, stretching my quads is night and day. I broke my back when I was 17. When I sleep, I get a lot of back pain. So it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll wake up with a lot of pain. I'll stretch out my quads. Instantly, the pain goes away and I go to sleep. It's amazing. So this is a great stretch to help lower back pain as well. I'm going to hang out here for about another 30 seconds. So remember to breathe. Feel the stretch. Excellent. Let's slowly make our way back up to all fours. Then as we get into all fours, we're going to extend our elbows down to the mat. And then we're going to take our palms and place them on top of our shoulders and cross our neck towards our spine. And then let your hips sink back. And you're going to feel a stretch both in your shoulders and in your hips. So it should look like this. My head is touching the mat, my elbows are on the mat, and my hands are on my spine. I'm allowing myself to sink a little further and further. My tailbone sinking further and further towards the mat, going back, feeling a stretch in my hips and in my shoulders. For the next 30 seconds, let's go ahead and remove our hands from our spine. We're going to extend our palms as far out across the mat as much as possible, and then bring your thumbs as close as you can together. And then drop your head between your arms and touch the mat. Really try to lengthen out your shoulders, lengthen out your arms. Kick that hip back nice and smoothly. Feel it in your shoulders. Excellent. We're going to stand back up. Slowly stand back up and make sure you're not getting too lightheaded or feeling sick at all. So we're going to take a little shake out your arm, shake out your body. We're going to get into something a little bit different. So we're going to do two things that are a little bit different than we have done. One big thing that I like to focus on is balance. So we're going to do a little balance exercise, and then we're going to get into range of motion, again, understanding our squat. So before we get into the squat, I want to give you guys a nice little fun little challenge. I want you guys to I want you to balance on your right leg. I want you to lift up your left leg, and I want you to balance here while letting your arms be down by your side. So we're going to try to hold this. Now the goal is to hold this for 15 seconds. But it sounds pretty easy, right? We're going to make this way harder. So what I want you to do, and I'm going to give you guys a 3, 2, 1 countdown. We're going to hold this for 15 seconds. But I want to do this with our eyes closed. Now the goal of this is to really understand where your body is and understand where everything is so that you can be as balanced as possible. So here in 3, 2, 1, close your eyes and we'll see if we can balance. Nice job. Let's go for 5 more seconds. Nice job. No! Yeah, let's go, big dog. So, what's cool about closing your eyes is obviously you start to feel and be aware of your ankles shaking and moving in the balance. Now let's do it on our left foot, and obviously for some of us it's going to be our dominant foot versus I'm a regular rider, so this is now my dominant foot, for some of you guys being goofy. Let's see which one's better, the left or the right. So here I'm going to start my clock. I don't know why you keep running away on me. In 3, 2, 1, balance. That's 10 seconds in. 3, 2, 1, rest. Raise one hand if your left was harder. Raise two hands if your right was harder. Let's go. It's kind of funny how that works. Excellent. So that's a cool thing that you guys can do on your own and just work on your balance, become better at it. You can get on different balancing things, but just being aware of that. And what's cool is for me at least, I am more aware of how my ankle is like connected to the ground and how the stability stems from the ankle and then work its way up. So it's kind of a cool little thing. So now we're going to get into some full range of motion. And obviously as we get into snowboarding and as I'm doing a really cool Ryan Napton laid out carve, or I'm hitting a cliff, hitting a jump, whatever the application is for snowboarding, if I can only move this much, I'm not going to have as much fun, but when I need to go beyond that, there's not a lot there, so then I either fall, I hurt myself, or I just don't land something cool. So our goal is to be able to have the full range of motion, going to be as tall as we can, to sink as tall and get as low as we can. That's my goal for you guys, and as we do that, being able to be in a balanced position so that we can relate this to snowboarding. So what I want us to do is allow our belly buttons to go as low as we can. We're going to start to allow our body to sink further and further and further down. Now my goal for you is to get your tailbone as close to the ground as possible. It looks like you guys are all doing really good. Let's go! So let's go ahead and sit here for about 30 seconds, and then we're going to add some challenges to this. So think about, okay, do I feel more tension in my left hip, my right hip? As I'm in this position, do I feel like I need to lean forward, lean back? Am I pretty balanced? Be aware of where your belly button is and your center of mass. Just be comfortable with this position. Well, when I snowboard in the morning, my first exercise the first thing I do is I do 5 squats and then I do a 360. And that's how I evaluate my body and evaluate my day. Because if I feel like those squats are really challenging, and then I got to go do something about it. The 360 is not explosive and I feel really slow and sluggish, I go do something about it. So having a nice ability to be aware of your body stems here. Cool. So from this, I'm going to give you guys a nice challenge. We're going to see if we can extend one leg out and remain in this balanced position. So I chose to bring my left leg out. Woo, right? It's challenging. So I'm going to bring my left leg out, and I feel a lot of tension in my hip because this is the hip I had surgery on. I feel a lot of tension in the front of my ankle, so it tells me I need to work on my ankle a little bit. So I'm going to sit here for about just 5 more seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go ahead and bring that leg back in, back to the squat position. Now let's see if we can do the opposite and bring the other leg out while remaining in a balanced position. For me, this is way harder. My ankle doesn't move the same, so it tells me that I need to work on my ankle flexibility. Oh, that's challenging for me. I naturally want to like rise up onto my toe, but ideally if we can stay flat-footed would be awesome. Okay, let's bring ourselves back to center. Woo! It's almost like the center is like a nice little rest spot. Ooh. So those lunges are great for snowboarding, but they're really challenging. So based on that information, when we're in, our left leg is fully extended out or our right leg is fully extended out, you start to feel within your own body, what are the challenges that you had? For me, I noticed my left ankle was really challenged, but my right hip is really challenged. And challenged, I mean, there's a lot of tension. And that made it really challenging to achieve the thing. So as we're in this position, let's go ahead and work on where you feel like your weaknesses are. And again, for me, it's going to be, I'm going to start with my right, and I'm really going to focus on my hip so I can get more range of motion out of my hip. So I'm going to roll my hip out and try to get range of motion. If you feel like there's more tension built from your ankle, go ahead and press your knee over your ankle and try to break up that scar tissue or break up the tension in there. And I'm not saying jam and break your ankle. I'm just saying smoothly massage your ankle. And let's start on the right side. So either working your hip, your range of motion, or work that ankle for another 45 seconds. So I'm just working that ankle. Nice. Excellent. We're going to hang out here for 10 more seconds, and then we're going to go to our other leg. Excellent. If you guys need to stand up and take a break because there's a lot of tension, totally do so. No big deal. But if not, you're feeling pretty awesome, let's go ahead and transition to the left leg. Again, massaging out that ankle, working your calf if you need to, working the ankle if you need to, or working your hip. Trying to figure out where's the most tension coming from, and can we start to massage that tension out so we can build a little bit more space in there, allowing our squats or our lateral lunge to just be a little bit more easy. And the coolest thing about the lateral lunge, I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but have you ever snowboarded and you end up really far in the back seat and you're like, wow, it's really, this position is super challenging. I'm back seat, I have no balance, I have no strength. Well, if we can start to work that balance, work that strength, and I'm in that oh crap position, but I have enough strength and mobility to either remain balanced or stand up. Pretty awesome being able to like use that as a recovery move. I've done that jumping off of a cliff and I'm like, oh no, and then I'm able to save it because I had enough strength out of that single leg. It's a nice recovery move. All right, we're gonna hang out here for 15 more seconds. Cool. In 5 seconds, we're gonna just stand up. And 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and stand up nice and smooth. Definitely don't lose all your, fall over or anything. So the last thing that we're going to do is we're just going to test our squat again. So we're going to do 3 smooth, not extremely fast, not extremely slow squats. So get into your snowboard width wide. Whatever you feel your snowboard stance is with your snowboard angles. And we're just going to do 5 nice squats. Well, actually, we're going to call it 6. And we're going to do 3 squats looking left, 3 squats looking right, while remaining as balanced as possible. So, all right, let's start with our looking left. Here we go. Oh yeah, gotta look. 1, and stand up. 2, and 3. Then I'm gonna go to the right, go down. 1. Back up is 2, going down, smoothly back up is 3. Woo! We can shake it out, and that's going to be it for class. Let's go!